When considering upgrades, whether it's for replica sets, sharded clusters, or anything else, always read the release notes and read the upgrade notes. This is less urgent if you're just upgrading a point release 2.4.8 to 2.4.9, but I would still recommend it as an operational best practice. So that's my first little caveat on upgrades. The second caveat that I'll have about upgrades in general will be order. The order of an upgrade does sometimes matter. Now, 2.4 had a strict order for upgrades. You had to upgrade the config servers first. You had to then run a process on those config servers to update the metadata to the version that 2.4 actually expected. Now that's all outlined in the upgrade notes, but there was a strict order, and this was an upgrade order requirement. We try to avoid these things. As a general rule, it's a bad idea to have such a strict and linear series of steps during an upgrade for a complex system. So it is something we try to avoid. Sometimes it's unavoidable, and when it is unavoidable, we will call out what that order is. And the general order, this is not something you must do, but this is something I would recommend. I would recommend upgrading the secondaries on your shards first. Remember, shards are a synonym for replica sets in this case. So upgrade the secondary of your shards first, then upgrade your primaries. Stepping them down first, this is your standard rolling maintenance methodology that we covered previously. You can parallelize this in some ways, right? Because each individual shard is essentially a separate unit. So you can upgrade a secondary in each of your 3 shards at the same time, for example. That's perfectly acceptable. I wouldn't recommend stepping down all your primaries at the same time. I would stagger that a little bit. Stepping down a primary is a bit more of an impact on a sharded cluster, as you can imagine, because the MongoS is going to have to reroute all writes to a new primary. New connections are going to have to be established, because when a primary steps down, it destroys all the existing connections, and new ones have to be established to the new primary. So I wouldn't recommend doing this in parallel, but certainly the secondary upgrades can usually be done in parallel without too much of an impact. And when you've got these 2 steps done, all your shards are upgraded. The next thing that I would upgrade are my config servers. Take one out, upgrade it, bring it back in, repeat until all 3 are done. Very, very simple, very straightforward, except for the 2.4 one, of course, which required some extra steps, but those are outlined in the notes. Now, I will also point out that this is just a preference on my part. This is how I would go about it. There's no reason why you couldn't do the config servers first, but this is the order I prefer. And the final step, and I would always leave this to the end, is upgrade your MongoS processes. Now, there's a few reasons for that, and one of the things that I'll be discussing in a later module is connection pools in MongoS and some of the impacts that can be had by bad connections showing up in those pools. But if you do this last, you guarantee that the last things being restarted are the MongoS's, which will clear out those connection pools. The other reason to leave these till last is, in most cases, this is the most common process you've got out there. You might have 100 MongoS processes to upgrade. So, config servers is just 3 of them. Secondaries, you'll probably have 2 per shard, so if you've got 3 or 4 shards, that's 8 or 6 secondaries. If you've got 4 shards, it's 4 primaries. So there's not a lot of volume being done here. There's not a huge amount of work. However, if you're going to upgrade 100 MongoS processes, that's a good bit more of coordination. You certainly want to know that all of this other stuff would work before you go and rotate through those. And once you have upgraded all your MongoS processes, you're done.